Ever wondered how a cozy autumn scene comes to life with just watercolor and a hint of shimmer? In this tutorial, we'll paint a whimsical fall house using warm seasonal colors and a touch of bronze and gold. I'll guide you step by step through sketching, layering, and adding metallic details for a soft, glowing finish. Let's get started. Hello everyone. Today we are going to be drawing and painting a whimsical autumn house, and I will be using Meeden watercolor paper cold press 100% cotton, size 10 by 7, and it's 300 GSM, acid free. So this is what it actually looks like in the pad, and the pad is sealed on all four sides except for one little part that opens up here. Use a palette knife to go along the edges and open the sheet off of the pad. So I'm using a dollar store pencil to sketch my painting with, and I draw darker so that way the visibility is better on the screen. We're going to start with our line at the bottom here. And we're going to have a house here with a little sort of carriage house on the side and a tree and some bushes here. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to move over on this side so I have room for my tree. And we will start with our triangular-ish shape here, and I'm going to have a window in the center. So we will put on our roof. And I'm going to have a little bit of an edge on the bottom. Do our chimney, our bird, and another little chimney coming off the side here. We will draw some straight lines across for the shingles. And mine, of course, are not straight because it's a wonky autumn house. So we'll just put some shingles on here. And I just put my lines in the middle of the previous shingle up above it just to make it non-symmetrical. And there we go. Going to have a little bit of a dangle on this side. And our window is going to go up here at the top. We'll have a little bit of a casement. And then we will draw right to about there. And draw that. We'll have a little bit of a house down here with a chimney. And put our shingles on. Draw that down there. About there. This will come out a little farther. We're going to have some bushes here. And they are going to go pretty much right up to the front step, which will be here. Have our doorway. And then we'll have another bush there. And then these will just be a series of bushes here. can do one more here. And our tree is going to be over here. I'm going to start with my limbs. Just have it come behind that bush. And we will build off the limbs from there. Do one more there. I'll try not to smudge my drawing as I go along. I should start from left to right, but I tend to do the opposite. So if you don't want to smudge your pencil lines, just start from left to right. And that will go up there. And one more there. And then we're just going to do a very simple tree like that. And you could have these go up a little farther if you want to bring them up. Like that. Down here we will have, I think, a larger bush behind, going like that. And then a few little plants down here. And these will have branches within them, so you can either draw them in now or you can wait until later. It's up to you. If you just want to do your watercolor first for these and then draw in the branches, you can do that. Or if you want to ink first with a permanent waterproof marker or pen of some sort, you can do that. Like so. Maybe we should just round that off a little bit more. And I'll erase that. Some of you have asked if I ever use an eraser. I mostly just use it for mistakes, like, well, if you want to call them mistakes, for things that I don't quite want them where they are in the position that I made them. Then I will use an eraser. You can ink first and then erase your pencil lines if you want a cleaner drawing. But I like to have my pencil lines in there. It kind of shows the history of the drawing itself and the painting. Okay, so up here we are going to have some more windows. And this one here is going to be a bigger window, like so. And we want a little lantern on the side, like that. And we are going to put in a few more windows here. And if you want, you can also draw in some bricks, just as a guideline for your inking later on. And you can just do some individual ones also, like that. And you can just add some lines for more brickwork indication. All right, so that is the drawing portion of our painting. If you want, you can add a little balcony here. If you just kind of want to fill up that side of the house a little bit more, like so. All right, then we are going to start our painting. I'm going to be using my 3 primary colors, which I will mix into the colors that I want based on the color wheel that I've made up before. And I'm also going to be testing out some metallic watercolors. And I've got a few different kinds here. I just recently purchased one from CSY Art Gallery, and it is the Fairy Tale set. And I'll just show you what that looks like. So this is deep bronze, Veralian red, saguaro, peach, Tibet shimmy gold, and desert, I don't know if they meant to say bronze, but they say brosen. Anyhow, so I have swatched these out on some regular watercolor paper just to see which colors I might like to use. And the thing with metallic watercolors is that you need to place water on top of them and let that sit for several minutes, and then you will mix it up with your brush, and then you will have a more concentrated metallic watercolor. So I'll just show you what that looks like. That's the deep bronze, which is this one here, but I'll just show you. Now you can do this as dark or as translucent as you would like. If you wanted a lighter color, you just add some water, more water, or you would dip that in, like you would, sorry, let me clean off my brush here. You can lay some water down first, then grab your paint and then dip that in, and then that will help to actually make it feather out, and then you'll have some light edges and some more concentrated areas. But with the metallics, you kind of want it to be concentrated so that way it'll show up better after it's dry. I don't know if you can see any shimmy there or not, but this was the dried version of that one from earlier. This was the Tibetan shimmy gold, and then this was the saguaro, which is just like gold, and this is the desert, I'm going to call it desert bronze. And then this was some other metallic, it's a powder form, it's Pearl X, and this is the antique copper. And I've already laid some of that down on my palette here because I'm thinking I'd like to go over maybe some of the bushes with that later. So that's a powder, and you just mix it either straight into your watercolor, or you can just add water to it and then do a layer of that over top of your other watercolor once it's dry. And then the final, they call this iridescent medium, produces iridescent effects. It's a watercolor medium by Winsor and Newton. And I purchased that, it was $13.55 in Canada. And it says mix with transparent watercolor or apply over a dried wash, particularly effective when mixed with transparent colors, especially over dark backgrounds. So I have that already laid down on my palette here, and you can add that either directly to your watercolor paint, or again, you can do a layer of that over your dried watercolor later on. So however you would like to approach that. So we'll see. Actually, haven't painted with these yet other than doing the swatches, and we'll just see how this goes. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I think these are going to be your traditional autumn colors, and the house is going to be a sort of a light brown, and then I'll be using the metallics over top of it. The roof, I'm just going to do more of a dark color. So we're going to put some blue down here. If you see any shimmer, that's from my previous testing. So this could turn out either to be a really shimmery painting or just hints of shimmer. So I think I'm going to leave that. Has a little bit. I had a little bit of red on my palette already, so we're getting sort of an indigo blue. I'm going to test that out, see if that's maybe what I want for my roof color, and I think that's okay. So I'm just going to lay some water down first and then add that color. And my brush is still kind of not clean from that color, so we're already already getting a lighter wash of that color down here. Okay, then we'll dip into our color. I'm going to decide to have the sunlight light coming from this side, so the darker side of everything is going to be on the left. So I think I will come back with another layer of this once it's dried. Get a little bit more of the red to it, and we'll get a purplish color. I think I want it darker than that though. Dust that out. Add that there. Okay, so while that's drying, because I don't want it, well, I could have it blend into the rest of the house. It's up to you if you want that kind of effect. I'm going to actually start on the bushes below that. So I'm just going to use this palette part right up here because I just filled this up with purple. And this already had some red in it. So we will just use that up. I'll water it down some. I'll test that out. So it's a nice fall color. So I'm just going to decide where, dry my brush off a little. I'm going to decide, I'd like, I think, an even amount of those. Starting over here. This is just water that I'm laying down, so I'm going to add that color to it once I have decided which of these is going to be that color. And we'll do one here, we'll do one there. You can lay a line of that down here as well to tie the painting together. And then we'll do one more over here. And then we will drop this color in. It has a little bit of yellow in it too from when this kind of spilled onto that. So you can drop other colors into this as well. So that way you get a combination of colors, which is nice. There. And then, yeah, I think I will add some yellow to that directly. Just water that down a little bit and then just add some dabs in there. And we can have some yellow here. And that one. That one there. And then we'll come in with our other red here and just put some, oops, I have a little bit, maybe not, a little bit too much red there. I just want to spread that out a bit here. And just drop a little bit of that into these other ones. And make that one red. And we can do these red. If you're wondering what kind of brush I'm using, it is a round watercolor brush, but it's from the dollar store. So I couldn't find my other brush. I think I brought it inside. I'm out in my bunkie at the moment, so I'll have to track that one down. Okay, and like so. Oh, forgot this one here. Might do that one yellow. And we'll just fill in some of the white gaps here. And I think this tree here we will do an orange. So while I have this already used, we'll just make up an orange. And I want to do a lighter orange first and then make it darker to drop that in. So we're making our yellow orange here. Lay the water down. And you can leave some white along the edges here to indicate that sunlight. And do that. Put that in. And then I will drop some darker orange in on this side. Just because I think it's gonna need to be slightly darker to sort of match the tone of the rest of the painting. Okay, that's not bad. Do a little bit darker here. Okay, and then we'll let that dry. And I want to do the trunk. So in order to make a brown, you use complementary colors. So orange and blue will make a brown. So I'm going to add a little bit of blue to our orange. And that will give us, if you wanted a little darker brown, you would add a little more blue. And that will give us a nice brown color. And we'll just add that here. Now what we can do later on, I want this to dry before I add brown in there for the branches. But I will do the, and it is going to bleed into what I've already done down here. But that might not be too bad. We could have a little bit of brown in here, just for a bit more variety. Do that there, ground. Okay, so we want our base of this house, I think, to be brown. So I'm going to use what I just made up here, and we'll drop that in. I'm going to water down my brush, and we'll just fill in our basic house shape here. It's almost a cream color. And I also think after this layer on the house, I want to fill in the windows. So I'm just smudging out a little bit of the bushes that blended into the house there. Okay. Now if you want, you can leave it this color because I think once we go over it with the metallic, it will darken it up anyways. But I think just for the tone of the paper, I'm going to make this darker. And we'll do this side over here. And now we're going to drop in our brown, like so. Yeah, I think that'll be nice. You can leave some spots if you want your light on that side. You can also leave some to indicate your bricks, so different tones for your bricks. And I want that a little darker. Oh, I forgot to do this roof here. It's okay, I still have that color down, but I want a little darker brown. So we make our orange first with the red and the yellow. And then we add our blue. And we're going to test that out on our paper. That's okay. So I'm just going to drop that in. And I'll leave some areas that are lighter. There. And there. Okay, we'll do our door. I think we'll do that one blue. And I want these edges right here to feather out a little bit more. So I'm just going to add some water there. And I don't have a paper towel handy, but I want to blot that a little bit to indicate some light. Okay, so we're going to do the rest of our roof here, which is a little darker than the one up above because I had made that darker. So I'm just going to add a little more blue to it here, like that. Do that, and I overstepped the boundary there. That's okay. And we'll do the door. Try not to touch the edges here because then it'll bleed into your house. And a step. And while we have this on our brush, we're going to make this darker here on this side. On the top and just on that side there. Towards the bottom. Okay. All right, we're gonna let that dry. Actually, one more thing. I want to add a little bit more to this side here. I may be going beyond the point of, I may get cauliflowers though, actually, if I do that. So no, I'm gonna wait. We're gonna let that dry and then I'll be back. Dry now, and we're going to fill in our windows and our lantern. And then we're going to add some metallic watercolors to the bushes and our house and the roof line. So for our windows, we're just gonna have a little bit of yellow. Actually, I need to make a space for this on my palette without mixing in too many colors. So we will put that here, and we'll just add a touch of red to it for some, that was more than a touch of red. So we're going to add more yellow. And you do this until you find the color that you want. And I think that one's okay. We'll kind of match our our leaves and stuff. But what we're going to do is we're going to water this down, and we're just going to, I dipped my brush into the water and it still had the paint on it. So it's going to just add a light layer of the color that was already on our brush. And we'll just do the windowsill too, because then that'll have like a glow effect. Blend that out a little bit there. That's just from the color from the house. Okay, and add that a little bit to the lantern. And add more water to my brush. And what we can do is we can drop a little bit more of the pure color into this once I have all these in here. Maybe just add it to one of the sides here. Like that, a little bit there. And that should do the trick. Maybe just a little bit more for an orange glow. Okay, and need some more of our brown right here above the door frame. And maybe there too. It will blend into the window a little bit, but it's okay. And now that this is dry, we can add our brown to the branches. Just be careful not to get your hand in the windows that we just painted. And it needs to be a little darker. So we add a little more blue to it. Like that. There we go. And I'll just go over that part there that we did earlier. And you can decide how many of these branches you want to do in the brown, or if you want to wait until we go over it with the black fine liner. If you have a rigger brush or a liner brush, you can do the thin squigglies for the branches. Now I forgot to do our dangles, so let's just maybe do those in a little touch of red here. Okay, and now we need to wait for that to dry before we can add our metallic. I'm thinking of adding the metallic gold and the metallic gold to the leaves and the bushes, and then the desert bronze to maybe just the bricks of the house, and then a little bit of the gold onto the blue of the roof and this one here. Okay, so let me clean off my brush here, and I'm going to go into the desert. I'm calling it desert bronze. I don't know if that's what they meant to call it or not, but okay, so I've got that on my brush, and I'm just going to add that to my bricks. Maybe the windowsills. you'll want to wait for those to dry before you add them, but I'm just adding them for the sake of time. And maybe a little bit up there. And some here. Okay, a little bit here. I think I'll add some gold along the edge here. I'll add a little bit of the bronze, I think, to some of these here. Maybe a little bit on this side. Oh, that might be too dark. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some water to the edge here and spread it out a little bit. There we go. Because I don't want to overwhelm the painting with metallics. I just want to be more of an embellishment. That will catch the light at certain angles and different times of the day. Okay, so we've got that, and clean my brush a little. I'm going to do the Tibet Shimmy Gold because I feel like this other one is just a little bit too strong. And I have too much of that on my brush, so I'm just going to add that down here and use that for later. So I'm going to add a little bit of that to the edges here, just to indicate sunlight glinting off of the house. And we'll add that to our shrubs and bushes. I'm not adding it to the whole bush. I just want it to be an indication that there's some glow there. And then we'll do some on this side. Okay. And I'll do the doorknob, brass or gold. Okay, oh, I forgot this chimney here. And a little bit over here. Okay, I think that's all the metallic I'm going to add to it. I'll do a little bit on the bird for later. Okay, and now we're going to let that dry, and then we're going to ink. We're going to ink the final details on to make this pop. I normally use a Uniball Vision needle, waterproof size 0.5 black fine liner, but you can also use brands like Staedtler. This is a pigment liner, 0.8. And you can also use Micron. This is a Pigma Graphic 1. And it's archival ink. And it has a 1.0 millimeter line. This is a brown, like a sepia tone. And that might actually be quite nice for the final details on the painting. But I'm going to use what I normally use, and let's get started here. So I'm going to start from left to right, so that way I don't smudge my lines. And you can hold it closer to the back here for a more wobbly line. If you want more control over your line, hold it closer to the front. I usually hold it around the middle or the back, so that way I'm not blocking the painting when I'm doing this so you can see. And, oh, that missed. Since I'm using the Meeden paper, it's a little different than what I'm used to. I usually use the Ohuhu watercolor paper or the Canson XL. I like those two brands, but they're not 100% cotton. Not always acid-free. And that's important if you want to be selling your paintings. You want to make sure that they will last to the best degree possible. So my recommendation to you is to try to get the best materials that you can without blowing your budget. So if you do plan on selling your paintings, it's important that you use acid-free paper, which is usually the 100% cotton, and light, fast watercolors, professional watercolors. So like Daniel Smith or Winsor & Newton. I haven't sold any of my watercolor paintings yet, so if I do plan to sell, I will want to be using the more professional supplies. As long as you're transparent with whoever is buying your painting, you know, if you let them know, hey, this isn't, you know, 100% cotton, and these aren't light, fast watercolors. You can put a like a door lens wax over top of your painting to try to preserve it to the best that you can. So that may be an option. If you can't use professional supplies, then if you put a wax, a watercolor wax over top of it, then that will help to preserve it a little bit better than if you don't have anything on the top. Or you can do a clear spray finish. Also, so I've noticed when I'm going over the metallic watercolors with the pen, it doesn't make it quite as dark as I'm used to. So that's just something to make a note of. Now, I imagine if you had inked first and then did the metallics over top, that would dull your lines significantly. So it just depends on how you want your final painting to look like. So just, you know, practice on some scrap paper and see what happens, say, when you ink first and then do your paints, or if you ink last, see what happens. Okay. All right, so yeah, so I was talking about, yeah, if you want to sell your paintings, try to use the best materials that you can afford, and definitely be transparent to your buyer as to what, you know, what kind of paper it is and what kind of paints you used. And if they're okay with that, then that's their decision. All right, so let's, might as well finish off this bush over here since I was already doing them. Okay, and then we do the bird. I'll try not to cover up the gold that I had put on him. I'll just do something like that. So let me know in the comments below whether you have maybe used this particular set of metallic watercolors. Let me know how you feel about them. And if you've used any metallic watercolors at all, I'd be interested in hearing what brands you've used and how they've been working out for you. What issues you've had with them, and maybe what you've done to resolve those issues, if there are any at all. And yeah, I'd be interested in hearing about different metallics. I do have an Instagram account, and I watch the reels on there, and I'm always fascinated with the metallic watercolor reels, how they'll usually show them from an angle instead of like overhead, and that will normally show the metallic swirling better in the video. And I'm always interested to see what metallic colors they're using to get that effect. Okay, so here at the top where my shingles are, I'm trying to decide, do I want to cover that with lines? I think I do. So I'm going to. And I'll still get that glow there. I may only just do, the line up to a certain point here, because I don't want to completely cover the gold. And yeah, Instagram reels. I do try to post on there a few times a week. This summer has been it's gone by so quick. It's kind of all I can do to just sort of keep up with my YouTube videos. And autumn is upon us, so I'm trying to do my films for that and then get started for the Halloween ones. Let me know if you're interested in any Halloween whimsical house tutorials or haunted house tutorials, or maybe different Halloween subjects. Can give those a try. I'm just going to add some lines there, make the bricks stand out a little bit better. So I'm currently working on a pumpkin shop tutorial. And what else am I working on? An autumn street scene. Some of you have expressed an interest in another street scene because you like the one that I had with the barber shop and the pizza shop. And what else did I have in that one? Barber, pizza. Oh, an old record shop. So I'm working on an autumn tutorial for an autumn street scene. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you might like to see for Halloween. And that'll help me kind of decide what the viewer interest would be. I always appreciate the feedback on my videos. It lets me know what you guys like, maybe what you're having problems with. Okay, so I got that done. Might add a few dots here for an indication of some stonework. Oh, and I covered up some of my metallic, but that's okay. And all right, so I find when I'm talking, I don't work maybe as quickly as I should. I do hope that you find these videos helpful and, relaxing. Might take some time out of your day to unwind and de-stress and just do something fun. Considering the pace of society is so quick now, I kind of long for the good old days when the telephone was hanging on the wall and you just couldn't be interrupted or bothered as much as you can today. Okay, I'm gonna draw that in. So yeah, I apologize if you don't find this video is going quite as quickly as you would like, but it being a tutorial, I do like to show the entire step-by-step process so you see how I got there. And then it's also a time for me to relax and de-stress and unwind and just forget about, what's going on in the world just for a few minutes and to get out of my head because I find I do have some anxiety and this helps a lot with that. So I'm just going to add a very few white highlights here with my Posca 0.7 millimeter pen. And I wonder what that would look like over some of my metallics. Don't know. Anyhow, let's just do a little bit here because I do like to have the white in there. It definitely makes it pop more. And I know we have the metallics in there for some emphasis. But I do like to have my white in here. So just do that. Maybe add a little bit of glow to the windows here. So you can just add a little dot and smudge. Okay. And I used to do my bricks like that, so I might just do a little bit of a line underneath it so I can still have that in there. And do the door, a little bit on the bushes, not so much, because I do feel the metallic is already doing the job. And I'll do my window frame here. Okay, and a little bit on the tree. And I think we're gonna call a little bit on the baubles, a little bit on the edge of the roof. I think we're gonna call this done. Let me know how this one turned out for you. And again, let me know what kind of metallics, metallic watercolors, if you're using, if any, because that is going to be on trend for the next year, apparently. Bold, bright watercolors and metallics. So I thought I would get a jump start on that and let me know what you think. We're going to hold this up to the light here and see. I'm just going to stand up and see if we can get this to shimmer a little here. You'll notice this on the side here turned, depending on how I hold it, it is dark. And then if you hold it up to the light, it's going to look a little lighter. So we do have some shimmer here. I'm not quite in the sunlight. So let's move over there for a second and see what we've got. So that's what it looks like head on. And then we've got just a touch of shimmer on the bricks on the side of the house. and the bushes. Like I said, I didn't want to overwhelm it, so yeah, if we do, let's see, can I get in the sunlight here? What's that going to do? Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out the camera angle. There we go. Yeah, there's the sparkle in the sun. Okay. Sorry, it's not quite that time of day. The sun's still over there, so if it was in the afternoon, it would be coming straight through the window here. So there we go. Okay, that's it for this one. I enjoy hearing back from you in the comments, so please leave me a comment below. And that helps to spread out my videos to people who enjoy whimsical watercolor paintings. I'm going to wish you all a world of whimsy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye for now.